Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video, we're going to be looking at an older game. We're going to be looking at Peter Hall's Francis Drake, and in this game, you'll be first going shopping in Plymouth, and then you'll be taking your crew and guns out onto the seas of the Caribbean and trying to pilfer riches that you're not entitled to, right? So in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. We'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Francis Drake is still worth playing. About 13 years, is it 2008? 7 years after it was first released in 2013. So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel if you ain't already. Leave a comment, hit the like button, all that crap, and we'll see you after this. Bollocks. So, Francis Drake, how'd you play this game? So Francis Drake is split over two phases. You've got the Plymouth shopping phase, and then you've got the sailing out into the sea, nicking stuff phase, right? Everyone's going to get a ship and they'll put it in the docks of Plymouth Harbour, and then you'll get a variety of components like discs and stuff, some with numbers on. You'll get a ghost ship, and you'll get a golden high marker, which you may or may not use later in the game, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go shopping in Plymouth for supplies. You're going to take your little discs and you will place them on one of the available spots on the location that you want to get stuff from, right? One thing that you've got to be mindful of is that you can't go back, which is good for me because I hate bleeding shopping. So once you've gone to a spot, all the stuff that's behind you is now off limits. So you've got to choose wisely. You might want to go shopping for crew. Crew are used to defeat troops when you attack forts and towns, right? In the second phase, you might go shopping for guns. You need guns to attack forts. You might go shopping for supplies. This will allow you to venture further out into the Caribbean because it's split up into 4 different zones. Zone 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? You need 1, 2, or 3 supplies to go to zone 1, 2, or 3, and you need 4 supplies to go to zone 4. So you can also get a pinnace. Yeah, I know it's a never-ending joke when we play this, and I've got to credit Steve for this because he did tell me that he does suffer from a lot of pinnace envy, right? So, love that joke. So there's also the tavern where you can roll a die and get a certain amount of crew, and if you roll a 1 or 2, you get a ghost ship, which is like a bluffing ship. It doesn't actually do anything, but you can basically try and fool people into thinking that you've gone somewhere when you ain't. You can go to shipyard, which gives you a galleon, which you need to attack the Spanish fleets, and then there's a variety of personalities that will mess with the game, like Francis Drake. You've got the Queen, the Governor, the Admiral, and the Informer, the Golden Hind, and everyone gets an investor card, which allows them to lose 4 victory points, but get a little bit of a bonus, right? Once everybody has done their shopping and loaded their ships up with booty, it comes time to venture out into the Spanish Main and try and steal stuff from people. What you do, you'll take your discs numbered 1 to 4 and you will place them on a location on the board. Like we said, you've got to be mindful about the amount of supplies that you have collected because that will limit the amount of locations you can go to. And when you place your disc out, you've got to think about what number you place because these discs will be resolved from low to high, right? So number 1 will be resolved first. Also, if you've got the Golden Hind, then you will be able to resolve that first, right? So that gives you a leg up as well. You've also got to be aware that there are limited amount of spaces, right? So you can still go to these spaces, but there's only going to be 2 spaces that are going to be resolved for battles, right? So once everyone's placed out all their numbered discs, you will reveal all the discs and you'll place them in number order. And then you will resolve each location's discs from low to high. So the player that played the lowest disc will get a chance to attack. You will have to discard the amount of guns or crew that the board tells you to. So it might be the case that you might have to discard 2 crew and 2 guns. And there's also the unknown quantities of the tiles that need to be revealed on the forts and also the fleets. There's also the restrictions of having a galleon when you're attacking the Spanish fleet. So if you successfully attack a fort, a fleet, or a town, then you'll get the number of victory points that are listed on the board. If you're the first person to successfully attack the town or the fort, you'll get the gem that is placed on the location, and you'll stick it in your little treasure chest. There's also different sets of commodities that you can collect that will give you a varying amount of victory points, so this is important to collect as well. And if you've got the Admiral or the Governor, that will allow you to hoover up any gold or silver gems that are left out through people that made mistakes. Once you've had enough of pilfering the Spanish Main, then you can go back to port. You might get a hero's bonus of a couple of victory points if you end your turn early. So you'll do this for 3 voyages, and at the end of each voyage you'll do some end of round scoring. You'll get victory points for different locations that you've conquered. At the end of the game you'll do it a little bit differently. You'll get points for different sets of commodities you've got. If you've got all 4, you get 26 victory points, and these stack up, so it's in your interest to get as many of these sets as you possibly can. But you'll do 3 voyages, you'll do the end of game scoring, and then the player with the most victory points will be the winner, Francis Drake. So what do we like about Francis Drake? So the first thing that we like about Francis Drake is the component quality. It is absolutely unbelievable. When this was released in 2013, I almost wet myself when I opened the box. It looked absolutely astonishing. The fact that you get the little treasure chest that you can play about with and stick your gold and silver and stuff in there, it made me want to go upstairs and bat one off, right? But you got the jewels as well, which look fantastic on the board. The artwork on the board is reminiscent of one of those oldie wildy maps, and this is just a trove of wonderful components. It may look a bit dated compared to some of the Kickstarter miniature games that you got today, because things have moved on quite a bit, but it still looks absolutely fantastic. It's a huge sprawling mass of a game on a board, and it does look absolutely amazing. So the next thing we like about this is that the personalities mess with the game quite a bit, and there's quite a few personalities in the game. Queen lets you upgrade your frigate to a galleon and gives you a couple of bits. So if you get left behind on the guns or the trade goods that you use to collect commodities, then go and see the Queen and doing her a favour might be in your interests. So if you go to the Informer, this allows you to mess about with the discs on the board. It allows you to have a look at some of the discs at a location that you're present at, and it allows you to swap them around if you want. So this is like a sneaky way of altering the order of play after it's been sorted out. So you might take the Gold 9, in which case this is the disc that will be resolved first. It's a nice way of going first, even if you're not going first. So yeah, we really like the fact that the personalities mess up the game and allows you to sort of jig things around after you've locked in your stuff. So the final thing that we like about Francis Drake is the fact that you not only need to worry about what you're getting and where you're going to be placing your disc, but you've also got to be equally aware about what your opponents are going to be doing, because if you're concentrating on amassing your own supplies and amassing your own guns and worrying about how far you can get on a map, your opponent might be able to sneak ahead of you, right? So this game is just as much about preventing your opponents from going where they want as it is from going where you want. And this produces a bit of a quandary, doesn't it? Because if blocking your opponents, you're going to be limiting the amount of stuff that you can get, and you might have to, in Plymouth mainly, go to locations and collect resources that you don't necessarily need. But the fact that you're limiting the amount of victory points that your opponents can get means that the victory points that you're going to get are going to be worth more. So it's a very interesting choice, and it's an agonising choice. And that's one of the things that we really like about these Euro-style games, is that they do tend to tear your brain in half. So what don't we like about Francis Drake? So the first thing that we don't like about Francis Drake is that this game, at the end of the day, is just placing discs on a board. And you know, I know that you'll be collecting resources, but there's not really anything else to do, right? It's just a case of putting your disc on a board, collecting a load of resources and sticking them on your mat, and then taking a bigger disc and then sticking it out onto the board, and that's basically it. There is a couple of expansions. I can't remember the name of it. Is it Montezuma's Revenge or something? Or they were released as little promos, but amalgamated into an expansion that has a 6th player. I'm not sure that will work. We haven't played with the expansions, so we don't really know. But at the end of the day, I suppose if you want to be cynical, and more often than not I am, you could just relegate this down to putting discs on a board, and that isn't going to excite the anti-Euro game posse out there. So the second thing that we don't like, and we're a bunch of hypocrites here because we've already said that the component quality is outstanding, is that it might be the case that this game is over produced. When it was released, this game was quite a lot of money. I think it's about 60 odd quid, and for 2013 that was an astronomical amount of money, right? This has been seen on sale recently. A few people I know have seen this for as low as 20 or 30 quid, right? Was it overproduced? Was it too expensive for what it is? Because we've already said that it's just placing discs on a board. Could they have made it cheaper with maybe cardboard chits or maybe some Euro cubes? I don't know, but there's something odd about the way that the game is so simple. It's juxtaposed against the lavish quality of the game, right? And something just doesn't match there. So the final thing that we don't like about Francis Drake, and this leads on from the other 2 points, is that the theme sort of gets lost as you're playing a game, right? Once you leave Plymouth Harbour, the theme just melts away and there's no real sense of exploration. There's no real sense of actually going on a voyage and doing stuff, because it's just, like we said, placing discs on a board. So if there'd been something else in there that maybe locked the theme in, made you feel like you're actually sort of making progress in some way rather than just placing discs and resolving them, that would have been a welcome innovation. So to summarise, is Francis Drake still worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say yes, absolutely. I love Francis Drake. It's a wonderful brain burning game that is really, really simple to learn. The shopping experience in Plymouth stands in stark contrast to my shopping experience in reality, because normally I just want to get in, get out, right? When I'm shopping in this game, I want to take as long as possible and peruse the establishments at a pace where I can think about it, right? This game does suffer from the theme getting lost in amongst all of the lavish components, right? You would have thought that a game that offers so much in that department, this would transfer over to the actual gameplay, but it doesn't really do that. So you've basically got to accept that this game is just a standard Eurofest where you're just going to be placing discs out on the board and agonising over where you're going to go, right? And that's not going to excite everybody, but every time we play this, we always have an absolute blast. There's conflict in blocking people from going to certain spaces, and the game is always a close affair, right? So yeah, Francis Drake is a superb Euro game experience. It might be a little bit overproduced, a bit too big on the table for what it is. So there's a bit of a quandary there, trying to figure out exactly what this game actually is. So yeah, we do wholeheartedly recommend Francis Drake if you want a top-notch simple Euro game experience. If you don't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole. But there you go, that's Francis Drake. So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel if you ain't already. Hit the like button, make a comment and all that bollocks, and we'll see you in the next video.